be with you guys again. Just fooling around with some variations on Life on Mars and getting ready for a little tour celebrating David, which is going to be pretty emotional because we have quite a few of the alumni, a lot of great Bowie members over the vast number of years. We have Earl Slick on guitar, we have Adrian Ballou, wonderful guitarist and singer. We have Holly Palmer, who was a background singer in 2000 for a year or two, and we have Kat Russell, who was with us through the reality tour. She's also up for a Grammy nomination for her own jazz album. And we have Sterling Campbell, who's been with us for quite some time, and his close friend Zach Alford. So we have another drummer. So we have two drummers there, and we have Galen Dorsey, who's just a legend in her own right, not in her own mind. She's a true legend. She's been working with Lenny Kravitz the last few years, and she has the opportunity now to manage to come out with us and do these concerts in London and New York, and then LA, and then Sydney, and then Tokyo. Who else did I miss? I think I might have missed somebody else.
Adrian?
I mentioned Adrian. And then there's the musical director and the guy who had envisioned this, who was not with David, but who knows David music inside and out, and he's a great musician himself. His name is Angelo. We call him Scroat, that's his nickname, and he's put this whole thing together. So we're bringing about 20 or 30 musicians and singers from LA that are all tremendous. And we have, who else? We have some...
Carmine?
Say again?
Carmine?
I think Carmine might sit in on bass on some tunes. We have some different people in different towns. There's a lot of guest artists that are actually sitting in all the different cities. We're going to keep that a surprise for you, but you won't be disappointed. Especially in LA, we have just an amazing singer, but I just was told that if I was to divulge it, my life would be on the line, so I just couldn't do that to you, or me. And there's a few others. And we're gonna have like a whole string section in London, and we're gonna have a choir. There's brass, we have saxophone, we have flute.
Gary.
Who's that?
Gary Oldman.
Of course, in London, we're going to have the great actor, and he sings too, Gary Oldman, who lived in the same town when he grew up as David, and he's going to be with us in London. He's actually working on the movie about Winston Churchill now, so he can't do all the shows, but we know we'll have him in London for those who will be there. And there's been a lot of communications I've received from a lot of the fans around the world asking about their various cities, and we were only able to do these 6 or 7 concerts in the month of January, but there's a possibility we'll return with maybe not 30 or 40 or 50 musicians, but more like 10 or 12, maybe in April, and pick up a lot of the cities that we missed. So that's in the works as we speak. So that's kind of cool, and I think I'd hate to forget any of the other musicians, but we have a guy named Paul. He's playing bass on some of the songs also. He actually is going out on tour for a year with Faith Hill. And
in LA, you recently announced Kate Pearson from the B-52s.
We're not talking about the guest artist unless it was announced.
It's been announced.
Well, where's Kate singing?
LA.
So Kate's in the joint.
I'm sorry, excuse me, New York.
No, New York. So Kate from the B-52s, she'll be with us. Not going to say any other ones. Anyway, so that's the story there. I'm open for any questions.
You're getting a lot of people asking also about your solo show that you've been talking about.
Well, the solo show got moved back a little bit because this is kind of a big celebration of David. Everyone doing this really wants to be part of this, and after the expenses of the planes and the halls and all that, it's going to charities, various charities. Music Cares is one of them, which deals with education and helping students with music and things of that nature. So we'll be doing that, and who else? Oh, so that solo tour will probably be put off for several months, especially if I'm going to do a part 2 of this in April and May, which we're finding out about now. But I will do that solo one. That's much more easy to maintain. It's just one person going out and me talking stories about David and playing some of his music. So that will happen. But I have some interesting surprises playing-wise on this particular tour. And anyone who's coming to these concerts is going to see quite a long show. That I can tell you, because there's a lot of music we're doing. So we're paying big respect to his amazing output of music from the late 60s all the way up through the last album, believe it or not. Yeah. Some questions there?
Yeah, you've got 700 of your closest friends here talking and asking, and a couple of the questions that people have been asking is, if David were sitting next to you right now, what would you say to him?
Well, I would change the tour around and remove the other 20 singers who will be doing their best to contribute to him, and I would just put him right up there and say, you know, time for a little resurrection, baby. Let's go out on the road. That's probably what I would say. I feel close to him, and I feel him very often, you know. So whether it's my imagination or it's spiritually happening, I'm good with it either way. Any other thoughts from the
Many thoughts and questions. Someone asked how you're holding up after almost a year.
I'm still pretty emotional. Still, I thought it was calm, but now that I'm learning all the music again to go back on the road, and it's just as bad for Gail and Sterling and Kat. We're all having a rough time, but it's the best way that we can contribute and bring the music to everyone who wants to hear it and celebrate him. No one can replace David, but the people who are part of this, all their hearts are in it. A friend of mine, Mr. Hudson's going to be with us on a bunch of the tours. He's a great singer, and he produced the last Duran Duran album. And he's a great singer and a great producer. He's joining us. I think in London, I think we have Keen, that band. I mean, there's a lot of people. I don't want to give it all away, but each place we've managed to have great singers that love David and will do the music in their own way. And a lot of people have been asking if I'll be playing Aladdin Sane, and I can honestly say I will play that on all these concerts. And even Lady Grinning Soul, which I never did live with David, we're going to do. So we're hoping not to disappoint. We have some very big shoes to fill, but we don't really want to fill it. You can't really fill what David did, but we could. I guess I'm back to saying we could celebrate this. We could really celebrate what would have been his 70th year and make as good music as we can. So it is emotional. Thanks for the question. I thought I was past the grief, but I guess you go in and out of denial, and you come back to it and you realize he's not here, you know.
Many people want you to know that they're feeling your emotions. They want to thank you for keeping David's memory alive. Someone asked how you feel David would feel about the Celebration tour.
I think he's very supportive of it. I think he would love it. And I think it's coming from a very good place. Everyone's heart is in the right place who's doing this. And it's just good. Everyone has their own connection with him. He's had such a big effect on so many different people. I'm just one viewpoint. True, I played 1,000 concerts with him, so there's a very strong connection. But everyone who worked with him in any field has a story, and a great story about him. And I keep learning about him and hearing stories and watching videos and hearing interviews. And to my amazement, I knew very little about him compared to what I've learned this year.
They want you to know that you're keeping David alive, that they feel his spirit, and they thank you for all of the live streams you've been doing and videos you've been posting. A lot of people thanking you for helping to keep him with them.
It's selfish. It's selfish. I'm doing it for myself.
You got a lot of people asking about Lady in Grinning Soul, which is fairly common. Someone wanted to know briefly how you created the piano for that song.
I think the notes found me rather than me finding them. It was a Trident studio in London where Queen had recorded and the Beatles had recorded. So there was, this piano was a magical piano. It was a Bechstein piano, and it totally spoke to me. And both Time and Aladdin Sane and Lady Grinning Soul were created on it, and they were one-take tracks. It just flowed out of me. Mick Ronson was our secret weapon back then, an unsung hero. He had such a great guitar part, and he was such a great musical director and partner to David that he just, I couldn't play a wrong note around him. So it was bigger than me, and the notes flowed through me, and I guess I was given the privilege to play it because I had practiced so long my whole life, but there was really no effort put into that piece. I didn't practice that piece prior to seeing it in the studio, and I never had heard it.
Someone said they worked at the Trident, and one of their jobs was to polish that piano. So,
Thank you. Thank you.
You have another friend saying that she can't get through many of David's songs without crying, and they wondered if you have that experience at any time with any of his songs.
I do, all the time, with all his songs. Yes, it's hard. It's hard. And I think we just have to face the reality of it and allow the emotions and the grief to come through. It's not like it's not a terrible thing to cry. I mean, you know, men are supposed to cry less than women, but that's a bunch of bullshit, you know. So, you know, it is what it is.
Catherine is sending hugs. A lot of people saying they want to rewind 2016 so they can smile when they see David.
I mean, the amount of people we lost this year, you know, Tony Visconti was actually asking on Facebook, does anyone know any astrologers or mediums or psychics, somebody who have a mystical understanding of why this happened? And I have no clue, and it's just been a horrible year for actors and so many great talented people, you know, and in my case, you know, the one closest to me was David, you know, but there's probably 100, you know, it's just unbelievable. We lost some other great musicians. Some great musicians were not in the A-list that didn't get mentioned, you know, they passed in the last few weeks, so it's just, I'm hoping we have a fresh start in 2017.
A lot of people are talking about your studio and your piano and wanting to see all the goodies. Someone wanted to know if you could talk a little bit about your piano setup in the studio.
Well, you know, I'm blessed. I have two great pianos, this piano and this piano, and this is 7 foot 4 inches, this is 9 foot. This is, I use more for classical. This I do a little more for the jazz and the rock, this one here. And, you know, I can come in this studio at 7 in the morning and be very happy, leaving at 3 in the morning and feel like I still didn't get anything done. So it's a great space to operate in, and with my friend Gerard, who's here doing all the camera work, and Mark, my assistant, I mean, they keep upgrading the level. But it's always been great sonically, and it felt good, but they're actually making it look good aesthetically. And probably next time we start doing this Facebook Live, you know, we'll be able to actually do it with other cameras and everything. We're still working with iPhones, but they have nice lights going. And
they love your walls. They always talk about your walls and all the photos and memories that you have up there.
Well, you either put those memories up there or you have to paint the wall because it's so crap. I haven't had a paint job here in 19 years. I'm still a musician, you know. So anyway, what I thought I would do is we do a little Mike Garson karaoke out. I never played Wild as the Wind on the original version on Station to Station with David. And there was no piano on that. It was Earl Slick and a great band. And David sounds wonderful on it. I played it live with David many times, and we did it live at the BBC. So there's piano on all those. So I thought I would take the version Station to Station because I was always jealous I didn't play on that. And I could put piano live right now as you're hearing David sing it. So let's see how that flows. Turn on the old computer. I just got back from out of town. I was in horrible traffic, so we had to delay this thing for an hour. And I have a nice little chord chart from that recording, the chords from that recording. And let's see, let's try this.
Someone just said, play Mike, and maybe something insane will come out.
Trust is a big factor in all this, isn't it? Just getting ready to push play. It's you. Well, that's all I have to say for today. I wish you all a beautiful new year and hope for merrier things this year, and hope to get to see some of you on some of these concerts. You've been very supportive all year of me, so thank you very much.